Good evening, everyone.
Welcome. It's Friday night. It's 9 p.m. and we are back here on
How to ace your career.
So guys, like you all know, I'm Newton. I'm a career and a life coach, and I specialize especially in mid-age professionals, people with 12 to 15 plus years of experience. When they get stuck in their career, when they feel their career is stagnating, they are not getting the deserved promotion, the salary hike, or they are unhappy in the job with whatever problems, probably not happy with the toxic people around. That is the time they come to us, and it's the journey of growth, how to ace your career. That's what we've been having, helping these professionals for almost a decade now. And that is why we have started this series on how to ace your career.
Yes, I'm Dheeraj Badkar. I'm a life coach, career coach, and a business coach. And both of us together, we formed this company, MD Life Coaching.
So thank you very much for being here. And tonight we are going to delve into a very interesting topic. And that is one of the aspects of the reason why we are here. All of us really dream about getting a dream job.
Absolutely correct.
We want to have a dream job. Most of the sessions we have worked around that, on how do you really figure out what is your dream job? How do you work towards it? Today we are going to share something a little more different, of course related to the same topic. So securing your dream job can really be a difficult journey. But the benefits that come from it, like excitement every day when you go to work, happiness that you experience at the end of the day, is truly amazing.
So basically what we are talking, that you are able to outperform because you are loving what you are doing. Okay, that's the most important thing. And that is why, obviously, because you enjoy what you're doing, you love what you're doing, that brings much more results for the organization. And in return, you get all the organization and rewards that you are craving for. We all want it, isn't it? It's worth pursuing this journey, even if it's a tough one.
And because it's a tough one, we come here and we share bits and parts of the journey that will make it smoother. So we all know the biggest obstacle in this path is what? It's about acing your interview. Now, to enhance your interview successfully, you have to master the art of storytelling. Why is it vital? So today's topic, today's live session is going to be on how do you tell your story so that you can ace in your interview and get your dream job, right? Well, of course, even storytelling is important in your current organization, the way you want to grow, the promotion, the hike, but especially it's very crucial when you want to crack an interview. So stories, of course, why? Because stories evoke immediate response and leave lasting impressions, which is precisely what you aim to achieve in an interview. And tonight, that is why we are going to master the art of storytelling.
So first, let's start with why storytelling matters so much. So let me share my own personal experience. In my childhood, my uncle who passed away was a great soul, and he used to stay in the village, and once in a year, 2 months, we used to go there and stay with him. And he used to teach a lot of stuff. I remembered quite a few things as compared to what my dad taught me, my teachers taught me. You know why? Because his method of teaching us something, and we were all of us, we were almost cousins, 15, 20 or more than that. And he used to teach all of us, was the way with storytelling. Any most important subject or important point that he wanted us to learn, it is to come in the form of a story.
Well, that reminds me about my granny. So I think so many people visited us when we were young, but as children, if I and my sister, both of us remember one thing common was, it was a winter season when she had come, and we would get into her bed and just listen to the same story again and again. And middle of the story, we would fall asleep, such a wonderful sleep we would have. And every day we would come back because we would want to continue the story where we had left it behind. And the journey continues even today. I love movies which have a wonderful story.
So my question to, sorry to interrupt, my
Yes.
question to all the audience here, how many of you have learned something and that has stayed in you because it was told to you in a story form? Please write in the chat. All others who are going to watch us later or who are already live there, think about it for a moment, that do you ever forget all those ways which is taught you in a form of a story?
Absolutely
Okay, so
correct.
moving ahead, why storytelling matters. So today we know it's a fast-paced world, number one. Number two, distractions all around, including something which is with you all the time, that's the phone. The challenge of grabbing an interviewer's attention is more daunting. It's very difficult, especially when many interviews were conducted virtually. Okay, there's so many that keeps going on.
So, because we are, at least earlier, we had a chance of going to the office, meeting that person in person, you are interacting. We would talk about handshake, body language. Today, all that is missing because most of the interviews are conducted virtually. Now, in that case, you still have to grab an attention of an interviewer who's sitting probably in his own house with a child there talking something. Probably wife has dropped in, or probably the husband has dropped in, asking a question, or there is an email come in, there is a phone, WhatsApp notification. In all of that, to ensure that what you're sharing drives his attention, the best way to do is storytelling. And that is why storytelling has become a very powerful method to convey the information you want your interviewer to know. It's a very effective way to narrate your experience and capabilities, which leaves a memorable impact. The person has to remember you after the interview is over. He needs to remember why he would want to select you. And that all can happen if you are sharing all of this in form of a story.
So let's understand a structure today, that how do you give an effective storytelling? Let's understand the structure approach, okay? So number one, if you remember, every storytelling starts with the first thing, problem.
Absolutely.
Okay, villain heroine ko leke chala gaya. There is a problem, okay? There's always a problem. Gaon mein sukha pada hua hai. And that problem begins, what is the problem? It begins with a challenge that your team or the organization or the industry is faced. That's how you start.
Then, of course, now there is a problem. So, what is the hero doing? The hero is going to come up with a solution.
Absolutely.
You're the hero of your story, right? So, describe how you came up with a solution. Now, is just coming up with a solution in the end of the story? Of course not. What is the next step? And that's more crucial is
It's implementation, okay? Then you need to explain that how that solution that you gave, you implemented. You were personally and the team together, you implemented the entire solution. Now, naturally, you have implemented the solution. So what is going to happen next?
so while implementing, you definitely are going to face challenges. It's never easy, right? A small little thing in our society, election, and there are so many things that have come up for some people to get elected, right? Anything you want to implement, there'll always be opposition. There'll be some or the other form of challenges, whether it is resistance from the team member or the technology, but something came your way. What those challenges came in, what were those challenges, and how did you overcome them? If you can share these hurdles that you faced and you overcome them, that becomes one very crucial, critical aspect of the pie of
In
the
the
story.
movie, we wait for this. What is that? Result. Hero ne logon ko bachaya, heroine ko bachaya. So the result. You need to conclude with results that everyone achieved. Because if you don't have the results, please don't share the story. Because the story without the result, without the end outcome, is of no use. So when your story addresses problems or challenges that resonate with your potential employer, the one who's interviewing you, they become engaged and invested. That's what we want. We want them to engage with what we are saying. We want their attention. Now, your storytelling is not about listing your accomplishment, but about showcasing how you can solve their problems. with each story beginning with the challenge and ending with the benefit your contribution brought to the organizations.
So it's very crucial here to understand certain things when you're telling a story. What are these certain things? That's what we are going to get into. First, obviously, what are your stories? Your stories are the list of your accomplishments. Now, if you just share them as accomplishment, it's not going to help. That's why we are weaving a story around it, which is talking about the challenge, which is talking about the solution, it's talking about implementing, it's talking about challenges while implementing, and the results that the organization got, not you got, right? You're not talking about your recognition and reward. Why is that? Why should you prioritize what you should do with your accomplishments? The first step is list down all the accomplishments you've had in your 12-year, 15-year, 20 years of career. That's the first important thing you need to do when you're planning to give an interview. Most of the people feel they know it all and they'll be able to share whenever the interviewer is asking. It's a wrong notion. It's an assumption. Why? Because these accomplishments have somewhere gone down in your archive of your brain. Now, if someone puts up a question and that's not right in the front, you can't give the answer just like that. And the minute you pause, the interviewer knows either he believes you're not confident or he says you're making up the story. Both the things are not the right way to deliver a story, right? So very, very important first to list down all your accomplishments. So all of you, listening to a live session now, I think these are some things which you should write down so that you don't forget it. So if you don't have a paper and pen, please grab it. And if you don't have a paper and pen, you don't have the time to rush and get it, type it on your phone on the notes, but use it so that you remember these points. So prioritizing your accomplishment is the next step. How do you prioritize? So say possibly when you look through your 15 years of experience, you say there are 10 stories which I can talk about, 10 accomplishments which were really, really major. Then it's about prioritizing them. And how should be the priority? It should not be about how biggest recognition you got. The priority should be based on the impact that it had on the organization. How did the company benefit from it? How did your team benefit from it? The greater the impact, the higher it should rank in your priority list. Moreover, it's not only just listing it in the priority and saying, I'm going to share 1, 2, 3, 4. It is also about rehearsing them and being able to adapt to these stories based on the role of an interviewer. For example, if a functional head is interviewing you, he's expecting something else from you. Probably if you are into sales, he's going to be interested in the numbers, how well you did the numbers, what are the new market segments you've opened up, how did you deal with the client. This is going to be most of his priority. But if an HR head or a hiring manager has come to interview you, he's going to know how did you lead your team? How did you resolve the conflicts in the team? How did you become a bridge between your teammate and the client? So the same story, of course, can be weaved in a different way, but it has to change as per the person who is sitting in front of you and interviewing you. If you don't do that, the same story may not appeal to the hiring manager or may not appeal to the functional head. You have to be very, very particular on all of that. So now when we are talking about accomplishments which are more important for the organization, let us try and understand what are the results that truly, truly matter to the organization.
So considering the following key results that organization typically value, you need to consider. So I'll give you some few of them. There are many, but few of them. First thing, any organization, any company is interested in, have you been increasing the business opportunity? Like your story should involve that it increased the business opportunity. That's something that all of a sudden the year is there. Oh, when you say, you know what? The business opportunity was increased because of I did this, immediately. Second, we all know every company, every organization is behind profits. If your story is going to talk about how did it boost the profit margins of the company, of the organization, immediately somebody is going to come like this. Oh, that's how. The person will be sitting like this immediately. Then, how did you enhance the overall turnover of the company and also the revenue. Then again, how did you expand the market share? Like it was 1, now it is 2. It was 2, it made it 4. And then of course today, if you know, all the company are thinking about how did you reduce the cost of the company. People are very excited, yay! And then how did you work on building a strong brand of the organization? And you worked on becoming a leader in the industry. And finally, how enhancing employees' performance, because that's what is expected, that you're going to help enhance the employees' performance and their efficiency. These are the few 8 that we thought should come in form of story, all these 8 points, which will grab the attention of the interviewer.
So it is for you to really judge which of these are applicable to your profile, to the profile that you're appearing in an interview for. It's not relevant to your current profile. It's relevant to the profile that you're appearing for. So if the business head or the CEO is sitting there to interview you, you are at a position of a national level, or you're in the top management position you're applying for, he definitely is interested in how did you help more business opportunities for the organization. Profit margins. Most of the people don't look at that side. But if along with the CEO, the CFO is sitting, he's more keen on that. Now his ears are more open than really looking at the business opportunities. So I need to be smart enough, wise enough to weave my story as per the person who's sitting there for the interview. And if the story has all these elements, then it's such an amazing thing, because you don't have to remember all the 10 stories. You can just remember the top 3 to 5 of them. Then one very important thing while you're narrating the story, in the process of storytelling, you have to ensure you convey your technical competencies and soft skills. This also happens in the movie, right? The hero has certain skills. Probably he knows how to shoot well. Probably he knows how to use the sword very well. Or probably yes, absolutely. Some skills which become an advantage and he wins the war. South Indian Tollywood movies are all the physical strength. One kick and 2-3 people will fall off, right? So what are your technical competencies and soft skills? You have to highlight these aspects while you're narrating your stories, because these are very, very crucial for evaluating your suitability for the role. If you can't mention that, then it is not something to do with you. Then you're just talking about a general thing. Also remember, very, very crucial, while you're narrating these stories, they should have some very specific incidents pointed out that make it a real life case study. It's not generic about the topic and generic about the interviewer feeling that you've just Googled the job profile and you're sharing the information. So really very important for you to remember that it should be a real life story, and real life story happens when you're relating to a real life incident, right? Real life incident could be when I really met that customer. He belongs to, probably he was a builder. He was really agitated. There was some project which was suffering. In that I walked in and I wanted to share. And he said, out, I'm not interested. I'm dealing with something very crucial here. And he sat there patiently. And in the evening, when he was stepping, I said, oh my God, why are you sitting here? And he said, sir, I had to talk to you for 2 minutes. Now this becomes a very specific incident. So you need to really highlight what exactly happened while you're narrating the story, which makes it real and believable. So the key points to remember in the story is
First is interviewer's perspective. That's very, very important, which means always remember that the interviewer is looking for what is in them for them and how can you benefit the organization. Because if that story is all about you and there is nothing for the interviewer, he might listen to it, but he's not going to be inspired or influenced, and he's already deaf because he doesn't know why is the guy telling me all this. I'm interested that is the organization benefit or not. So that's the first thing, the interviewer's perspective. Second,
one thing more I would like to add here is it's also to understand the psychology of the interviewer. All of us, our brains are designed in this way that it only notices something which is important for me. There is so much information that the brain is processing. it only retains what is important and crucial. Now, if in that first initial 30 seconds to 1 minute, you cannot share something is important to me, you may be talking. He may be sitting here and hearing, but you don't have his attention. So it's really very crucial that in the first 30 seconds to 1 minute, something which is relevant for him, something which his brain is scanning, that what he's sharing, how is it relevant to me? If you put that, you've gathered his attention. So that is the first point. Look at it from the interviewer's perspective. The second one is about quantifying your results. Believe me, numbers play the magic. Your entire story without the numbers doesn't create that impact. What percentage of growth? What size of team? What revenue in terms of dollars or INR? These are the things which really matter. Number of dealers you created. The team was this big size. The project was delivered in this time frame. This many number of work hours of my existing team was reduced. As you start quantifying, the impact of your achievement is definitely creating a much more significant impression on that interviewer.
Yes. The third thing is tailored storytelling. Now, this is very important. You need to frame your story from the perspective of the interviewer. It cannot be the same which somebody else is sitting and you're giving a story. So it has to be tailor-made and adapted to a specific question asked. So if somebody is asking a question related technical, you can talk about team management. You can't talk about that. You need to talk about technical. How did you do something? How it benefit the organization? And if somebody is asking about how do you handle the team, that's why your whole storytelling should be tailored on your team management skills rather than your technical skills. So that's very, very important. That how am I going to design, adapt that same story in a way which is going to attract or gain the attention or influence the interviewer.
So if you really look at your stories, there'll be 2-3 problems or 2-3 questions that can be answered through the same story.
Yes.
Because the story would involve how you really brought the team together, or probably how you brainstormed the solution, or probably how you came up with those technical solutions. Depending on what question is being asked, the same story can be repeated by highlighting that. And even then you will crack the interview. I have specific examples of my clients who have gone back to the same story and said, well, sir, the team management, if you remember when I was sharing this is how I did it. This is how I worked towards gathering the team. So you don't have to necessarily have 10, 15 stories and everything highlighting one aspect. It can always be same story repeating 2-3 more aspects which are really very crucial for the role.
Next is concise storytelling. Don't go to keep going on and on. Some people have a problem of elaborating so much that the person about he's giving you signal that stop. So prepare just few key stories.
2 minutes.
In maximum 2 minutes. Otherwise, it's gone if you're going to take more than that. And based on that, ensure that you're doing this story. It has to be concise.
And of course, when the attention you have got of the interviewer, he starts probing further. That is where you start giving the specifics and more details. And then the most important aspect for us humans, we connect to emotions. We may forget everything else, but if there is an emotional connect, I definitely will remember the story. So emotional elements to your stories are very, very important while you're sharing that. This is what happened and I really felt very hurt. Or my team member was humiliated by the client. I could empathize with him, but then tuck, tuck, tuck. So when I reflect those emotions that I got through and that can connect the interviewer, I have ensured that he'll never forget my story and probably he'll repeat it to someone else. So ensure that it's not a very dry, quantifying experience with capabilities that you're sharing. If emotions are not triggered, then it's not a storytelling at all. Now we've got to know why is storytelling important. We've got to know how to structure your story. We've got to know what are the problems the interviewer would be interested in and their story should be around those problems. Now the last and the most
Now you
important
want to
part.
ask, how do I share the story? What is important that I need to consider? ये सब हो गया, मुझे ये बताओ, how do I share the story? Because that also is a very important skill.
Yes.
So that's something you cannot ignore. One of the most important skill is how you share your story.
So the first one is confidence. Did you share your story confidently or no? You were just conveying it in an absolute smooth pace, trying to recollect the facts. Doesn't come that way, right? It has to be bang on, grabbing the attention of the interviewer. Now, when does confidence come? It just doesn't come because you've accomplished it. Confidence comes only when you've thoroughly rehearsed it. Preparation is the key. Most of the people just go there, attend an interview casually. Believe me, if you do that, you've already lost 60 to 70% of chance of acing the interview, because there are so many people there, and if they have done the job confidently, I as an interviewer is going to remember that person, because I want a confident guy addressing my company, representing my company, my department, my team members. So confidence, but confidence comes from preparation. So don't be overconfident that you know it all and you can just share it. Why? Because if I don't rehearse, I can't put it in the time frame. I will not remember how to exactly pinpoint what in the story. So write down the stories, tune it, and keep rehearsing it thoroughly in front of the mirror, probably with a buddy, so that when you share it in front of the interviewer, you're damn confident and you can put it across without any hiccups, any pauses, any question marks. You're just thorough and thorough.
Of course. And so, in fact, you're telling a story, and sir, I think there was a problem which came, and I and my team, guys, we went out there and we did figure out and we did give a solution. He's already gone to sleep. When you have to tell a story, there needs to be energy. The second point is, what is the energy that you have? It all depends on what's your energy level. That's important. Do you need some more energy? Figure out that, because if you're not having energy, it's not going to create that impact in that person's life. Like for example, you have seen us for almost more than a year. Why are we able to make you grab your attention? Is because every time we come with so much of energy. That's important. Build it by doing incantation before this. So how do you build that energy? Incantation, physiology. Okay, like I remember, actually, before we come here, 3 minutes, we do those incantation and we do those physiology so that we can come here and sit with that level of energy. And that is what is the second.
The third and the most important element in the 3 factors on how to deliver stories: enthusiasm. Now, how proud are you about your accomplishments? And do you like sharing them with others? Or you feel when people share accomplishments, they're bragging about themselves? If that is the feeling you're living with, you will not be able to share your accomplishment with enthusiasm. You'll be downtoning it to a very low degree. Or probably you feel embarrassed because you feel you should not be talking about yourself. If either of them is your case, then work on your belief system, because without enthusiasm, the energy and the most important aspect which we spoke about, confidence, if these 3 elements are missing from your storytelling, though the story is amazing, it's not reaching the audience correctly. So towards the end,
so the mastering the art of storytelling is a vital skill that can set you apart in this competitive world of job interview. By learning how to construct and deliver compelling narratives that focus on solving problems and delivering results, you can significantly improve your chances of securing your dream job.
So join us in this endeavor. Be there every time so that you can ace your career, get a dream job, outperform in your current job, get that hype, and continue the journey with us every Friday at 9 p.m.
So thank you very much. Good night. See you on next Friday, 9 p.m. on how to ace your career.
Wish you a very, very happy weekend.